Well, welcome to the second dialogue of second International Dialogue of the Youth for Peace and Human Rights. This is an instance organized by the International Institute of Human Rights of America and Costa Rica. So thank you all for being here. And well, the idea is to have a warm dialogue and to be sure to be able to share our ideas and talk about justice, about solidarity, about human rights, and how each of us lives those concepts and how in which way we all have impact in our surroundings with them. So first of all, I would like to introduce to these concepts that are key for us, these principles that guide us as ambassadors for peace, as young ambassadors for peace. The first principle is respect, respect and tolerance. And it's really important, and we as youngsters know it, to be able to tolerate and respect and empower everyone around us. It doesn't matter how we are, our religion, our nationality, our ideas. It's really important for us as a new generation to be able to respect people around us and to make them feel welcome and comfortable. That's something that we as a generation encourage a lot. So I think we have to have it really clear that that's a principle that we defend. Then we've got dialogue, that is pretty much linked with the last principle, with the principle of respect. We all have something important to share and from which the others can learn. So it's really important to be able to engage in dialogue with people that think differently from us. I'm sure here we have a lot of different thinking, different ideas, different backgrounds. So dialogue is the only way to find what the others know, what the others think, and to be able to get to be enriched by it. So I think all of us have a certain responsibility and duty of encouraging dialogue in every way and in every circumstance. Then we've got justice and equity. This is the third principle. It's really important. We need to educate society. We need to educate each individual in society in justice and in equity. Justice means that each one gets the same treatment for the same behavior. So it's really important that no context or difference or background can change how we are treated or what's the results of our actions in society. So justice is something that we have to encourage every day, something we have to defend, because it's not something that we could take for granted, not least in the world of today. It hasn't been like this in history ever, and we shouldn't take it for granted today, not in our countries, may they be countries of peace or not, and not in our societies, in our families, in our school, in our universities. And equity. Equity means that everyone is given the same opportunities and we are all treated the same. So it's not just this equal treatment, but also equity. It means that we have to be generous with the others and be able to help them to reach all their potential. And really linked to that is the principle of solidarity. I mean, in our societies, it's not just giving the same laws to everyone or the same justice. We also have to encourage people that are in a context of disadvantage, of vulnerability, to be able to overcome those situations and to be able to have a full development as human beings, to reach their potential, to reach their goals, and to find what's that moves them, those things that they want to do in their life and they don't have the tools to do. So today we have to help them find them and use them to reach their potential. And finally, the last principle, and maybe the principle that takes all the things we were talking about together and gives them some sense, some meaning, is a principle of freedom, dignity, and common good. Freedom is again a concept that is really difficult to understand. It has a lot of different meanings, a lot of different connotations. But freedom is something humanity and we all have been winning over time. Every century, every year, we become a little more free. So it's really important for us to value freedom and to every day find ways to be living in a society where freedom is more valued and it's not, again, taken for granted, as well as dignity. We come from some of the worst episodes of humanity in the last century. We have seen human beings fighting with each other and treating others not as a sibling, you know, like a fellow human being, but rather as a thing. And we can't let that happen again. Regrettably, uh, we are watching episodes as such in Ukraine, in the Middle East, but we have to every time we can get others to know the concept of dignity and fend for it. So it's really important to know that each human being is important, that this importance, this dignity is inherent. So we can't just forget about it or turn a blind eye to it. And lastly, common good. I've got a really nice definition of common good from a professor in my university that says that common good is the set of material and spiritual goods that allow the full development of every and each individual under the lucid and limited power of the state. Common good is not just that most of the people in society are having a good time, are finding their full development, but rather each and every individual can find it. Common good means that we have to live in prosperous societies, societies with freedom, with peace, but also that every individual, every minority has to have the opportunity to find their own way and to find their own development. So these principles, respect and tolerance, dialogue, justice and equity, solidarity, freedom, dignity, and common good are key for building better societies. And I think that each and every one of us has a role in it. So the idea today is to try to talk about it, every one of us to maybe share some ideas related to these concepts that are so rich and there's so much to be said about them. And maybe also try to link it to our uh, personal way, our life, our projects we are involved in and in which we have impact in our society. So if you want, we can introduce ourselves. I can start if you want. I'm Tomás Dardanelli. I'm from Buenos Aires in Argentina. I studied political sciences and now I'm studying law. And I'm currently working in Embajadores Verdes or Green Ambassadors. And it's an NGO that works with the environmental agenda, the green agenda, and we try to encourage people to get involved and to make the difference from it. So if you want, maybe Tunde, you can introduce yourself.
Of course. I'm Tinda Pindlie. I'm from Romania, Târgu Mureș, a little city in Transylvania. I'm an English teacher. I've studied Romanian and English at university, so I'm teaching English. That's what I do.
Amazing, thank you, Tunde. Then Marijan, are you there?
Yes, my name is Marian Page. I live in Dugo Selo, a city near Zagreb, and I'm second grade of high school, and I study engineering.
That's
That's
amazing.
it.
Thank you, Marijan. Then Iva or Eva, are you there? Can you hear us, Eva? Okay, then Sophia, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I had some connection problems, but
It's okay.
here I am. I think that, well, I'm a big fan of starting with your community. At least here, I'm from Guatemala. I study in the University Rafael Landivar. I'm 20 years old. And at least here in Guatemala, the political system, it's really complicated. It's really corrupted. So it's difficult to make changes in at least in the spectrum of institutionalization. So I think that, for example, a problem is the law system. So, but it's difficult to reach the law system and to make changes in the law system. So you start with your community and like make dialogues with people with different ages and start to treat the problems and just like visualize the spectrum and try to make changes in the community, and that's the way you like impact your own like um ambient. So I think that if you start with the community and try to change, like for example, I don't know, provide the culture of recycling or attend the problems of um, Asian people or some problems like that, you could like make the difference, and that's the way you impact in the politics without being in the system. And yeah, for example.
Amazing. Thank you, Sophia. What do you study at university?
International relation.
Okay, great. Great. Then, Ariana, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sorry. So my name is Ariana. I'm 16 years old, and I am from Romania, from Târgu Mureș, a small city from here. And I am in high school, 11th grade, sorry. And I study philosophy at a bilingual profile.
Amazing. Thank you. And welcome. Then, Julia, are you there? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Julia. I'm from Mureș. I'm studying I'm in 11th grade here in Mureș, and I study philology.
Great. Where are you from? Sorry, which country? I couldn't understand.
From Romania.
Romania. Okay. Lots of Romanians. That's great. Amazing. And then, Eva, I don't know if you can hear us. We can't hear you. Maybe there's an audio problem with your microphone. I don't know, the rest I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay, great. Now that we have met each other, I'm sure Eva will be able to fix that problem and will be able to introduce herself. Now we know that we know each other, maybe we can tell the others about our experience with these principles, how we take it to our everyday life. How Sophia was saying, it's important to have an impact in our local community. Here in Argentina, we speak of impacting your square meter. So if you want, again, I can start and I can tell you a little bit about what we do in Embajadores Verdes, in Green Ambassadors. In Embajadores Verdes, we think that a real change regarding environment comes from little actions from the everyday life of many individuals in their local communities in the city where they live. We realize that, at least here in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, all activism was really around big cities, and there weren't many places where, if you lived in a far-flung place or in another province apart from the capital city, you could act and you could get courses and education regarding the environment. So we decided to be the ones who give those tools to that people that are out there waiting for someone to give them a space, to change things. We realized that many people wanted to, for example, clean beaches or clean residues in public spaces, but they didn't want to do that alone. They didn't want to go with a bag and a pair of gloves by their own to that public space and start cleaning it, because they didn't like doing that by themselves. They felt like it was weird to do it alone, and they needed a space to give them some kind of identity and representation to do it with a group of people. So we started working on that, and luckily today, 2 years from having created Embajadores Verdes, we are in 50 cities in Argentina with over 1,100 volunteers who every day change their cities, their provinces, their neighborhoods, be it with plantations of trees, be it with cleaning beaches or public spaces, presenting law projects, and many ways of changing your day-to-day life, your habits, and your surroundings. And I think that we as a generation have a lot of information regarding the environment. We are really worried by it, and we need to really go from being preoccupied to being occupied by it, and so I'm really happy of all the work we are doing, and always thinking what's the next step, what's the next thing we can do. And it's not just the environment. I think that from every organization we take part in, we need to think how it impacts not only, in my case, in the environment, but also how it has social impact, how it has public impact, and to think, organizations in a wider sense, and especially to build citizenship. I think we are all inhabitants of these planets, of our countries, but we aren't all citizens. Being a citizen means to be held accountable for our actions, means being responsible, means having a role in our community and being committed to it. So it's important to build citizenship everywhere we go, and all with this culture of peace we all think that should be there, and regrettably in many countries isn't that common as maybe in mine in Argentina. So that's a bit of what we do in Embajadores, and I encourage any of you that wants to tell us a bit how they take these principles of respect, dialogue, justice, solidarity, freedom, dignity, and common good to their daily lives. And maybe if you are committed to a certain project, tell us all about it. Maybe you, Sofia, can tell us a bit about how you in Guatemala are committed to these principles.
Yes, currently I have a project in a school, in a public school. It's about just giving classes to children, but here in Guatemala, one of the main problems is education. The education is really, really like bad. So yeah, I'm giving classes with a large group of students from the university, and that's like we try to change the ways that the children are like having their classes, because the problem is not only that the students don't have a good education, but the teachers don't have that preparation. So we try to give them classes and try to make activities and just try to change a little bit the curriculum of how here in Guatemala, public schools give education. And yeah, that's one of the projects that I'm currently doing right now.
Amazing, congratulations. And yes, education is key in building these principles, in making people be aware of their importance. So that's amazing what you do, especially with children. Children as us as youngsters are the future. So it's really important to address the issue of their education. And I don't know if you all realize, but we all here come from countries that's where the main language isn't English, but English is the tool we use to be able to communicate with each other, to share our ideas. So that's something really good, and that's education. I mean, we have the privilege, the lucky in life to be able to learn English, and that allows us to be here speaking with each other. And I think that Tunde, maybe you can tell us a bit about your work as an English teacher and how it has a certain relation with respect, dialogue, justice, solidarity, etc.
Well, at least, I mean, I don't give English classes. I give language classes in Spanish. But for example, there's a lot of cases that in the classes we have a lot of children that are, I mean, men, and the population of women is really reduced because here's this kind of like concept in our culture that women, for example, are just to have children and have family and shouldn't have education, and that's the reality of a lot of families here in Guatemala. Just education, it's really reduced and a privilege, but for women, is like the percentage of women that are educated, it's totally reduced. So we try to like generate dialogues with men and women, children, obviously, but and try to form this kind of just interaction where women have an opinion and can say and can debate and can speak out loud their opinions. And that's one of the ways that we try to encourage justice and equanimity.
That's great. And that has a lot to do with justice and equity, because if we just work with justice, thought like having the same laws for everyone, maybe people that are in a situation of disadvantage, of vulnerability, or maybe social pressure, they can't change that situation. And that's why the concept of equity and of solidarity are really important in this matter. And we can't just stay with the bare minimum, but we have to take action and to help those that may be pressured because of their social circumstance or context or the people around them. So that's great what you did. Again, congratulations. And well, Tunde, do you want to tell us a bit about your work teaching and how it has social impact and social value? I think you are muted. Are you there? Okay, I think we're having problems hearing you. Maybe, maybe Julia, you can tell us about how you live these principles of respect, dialogue, justice, solidarity in your country, in your city. A little bit about it.
Yes, I feel like it's not talked about enough here, and I would really appreciate it if more conferences like this would be available for us, and they could all teach us how to talk about this and how to tell others about these principles.
Yeah, that would be really great. And how are you? How are you like feeling about the war in Ukraine and everything that's going on there, you are not that far away from it, and it has to do with peace and with respect and everything. How do you see all that's happening right there?
Well, yes, we are pretty close to it, and we see every day a lot of Ukrainian people coming here and in our society. And I don't know how to say it, but it's when we talk about people, we shouldn't be thinking about this, because we should all be together and enjoy our lives together and have compassion for each other.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. And I also think that maybe this agenda of respect, dialogue, and the goals of sustainable development, for example, doesn't have to do only with the people who study social degrees, but also with things like engineering. So maybe there, Marijan, you can tell us maybe how you can take these principles to engineering and all you are studying in that sense.
Yes, I agree. As I said, it's not thought about enough here, and it would be really great to hear more about it. So, because I see a lot of people my age laughing, making jokes about it, and it's not all right.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Marianne?
I don't really have any similar projects to some people that said here, but um, the best thing I do is probably when I'm walking my dog, I bring a trash bag. So when he takes a poo, I pick it up so it doesn't hurt the environment.
Amazing. That's great. That's a really good habit, and that shows commitment to your community.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, amazing.
Okay. I had some connection problems. You asked me about the relationship with children, with students, and respect.
Yeah,
What was your question?
education, English, how you take these principles into action in your everyday life.
I mainly teach high school students. Julia and Ariana are my students. And I think that respect is very, very important, both for the teacher and students. Otherwise, I don't think that things would work well. And all in all, I teach in a good high school. I can say that. So I don't really think that there is or can be any kind of lack of respect. We mainly teach intensive classes, so they have 4, 5, or 6 English classes per week. And normally we use modern techniques, methods, discussions, and everything that is related to teaching.
Great. That's amazing. Thank you, Tunde. And well, there's Eva. I don't know if if you're there, you can hear us. Maybe you can share us some thoughts about these principles. I think you're muted. There you go. You need to click on the red mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I wasn't in any like project before this. Can I introduce myself first because I
Yeah,
didn't.
please.
I'm Eva. I'm a second grader in high school in Dugo, that's a little city near Zagreb. As a, Zagreb is capital city of Croatia. I think the main problem is people judging each other, like that women are weaker than men, and like yeah, you understand what I wanted to say, and that's why we don't have peace in the world.
Okay, thanks for your ideas. And I take something that Sophia said, that it's sometimes really difficult to find a place or to get to understand how one can have an impact in laws, in all regarding the government and the state. So I think that although there's a lot we can do as a society, as individuals, there's also a huge responsibility that has to do with the government, with politicians. So maybe we can just share a few ideas about how we are, uh, you know, perceiving and watching our politics, our domestic politics, how these values of respect, dialogue, justice have to do with our context in our countries. Again, if you want, I can start. Here in Argentina, we are 2 weeks away from general elections. A new president will be chosen by the people. So something that has been happening that worries me a lot is that social networks now have a huge role on elections, and sometimes not for the best. So the most radicalized, the most extreme positions and ideas, sometimes because of social networks, can get a huge amount of visibility from one side and the other side. So many politicians and many people are starting to have this aggressive and violent way of approaching politics and you know the social dialogue that is really worrisome. So I think that in Argentina that is today a really big problem, as well as poverty that is increasing every day. We are one of the few countries where poverty, instead of going down, is increasing at a huge amount, you know, really worrying us as a country. So, of course, having people not being able to pay for their daily lives and their food and their rent and everything is something that can detonate, you know, violence, social violence. So that's something that here in Argentina is quite worrisome. And that's something where we, with these principles we were talking about, we can work to improve the situation and to change our presence and our future. So if you want to share a bit of your country's context and how are things going there, it will be really enriching because each of us comes from a different country, even different continents. So we can really learn from the others' experience and ideas. Sophia, if you want to.
Yes, we had elections like 2 months ago, but the political situation, it's really unstable. That's nothing new. But right now, for example, the party that gained the elections, um, was their legal personality that basically is the party was canceled. So right now we have political just there's no stability in the political aspect, but we have some kind of groups here in Guatemala, for example, indigenous groups that are speaking out and having dialogues about their opinions and how the representation of the government it's not aligned to their values. And that's great because sometimes politics here in Guatemala are just from coming from one sector. So it's difficult. It's really difficult because institutions are corrupted, but there's people that are speaking out, and students, especially of universities, that are manifesting their like their problems with the government, and that's the way that things are changing, at least for the at least at the paradigm of reproducing like forms or dynamics of politics that are practically like ancient and not like practical in their in this context right now. So it's difficult, but there's a lot of manifestation, and there's a lot of speaking out, and there's a lot of repression too, political repression too. But we are trying to change the way of doing things from the government, from sectors that are not traditional. So that's like the way that it's right now, Guatemala.
Thank you, Sofia. That's really interesting and really worrisome as well. And again, I think that education is key in all of this. Only if we are really aware of the importance of these values of respect, of dignity, of solidarity, only if we are conscious about human dignity and how each of us has these inherent rights that can't be violated, only if we are really aware of it, we can guarantee a society where no minority is attacked, and no one thinks that has the right to put his own interests above others' rights or others' opportunities or ways of life. So I think that we have a huge job to do there to make sure that rights are not violated and that human dignity is put above anything else. So I share that worry with you. I think that's something really Latin American. The thing about minorities, about the governments being co-opted or taken like it's the property of the people in charge. So we have a lot to do there. Well, then I don't know there, Aiva, Marian, Tunde, if one of you wants to tell us about your countries, Romania, Croatia, how you are living all of these principles and how domestic politics has an impact on it. Yeah, Marian, go ahead.
So in my town, there is a small problem of violence between younger generations because of their differences. I don't know why is that or anything, but in all of the schools in the town, there have been placed guards throughout the night, so they keep out the hooligans from doing unnecessary stuff. Yes, and that is, I think, currently one of the bigger problems in my town.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's really worrisome. But again, I think that only by taking part in the public agenda and maybe putting that topic, in conversations, we can find solutions for it. And hooligans are a really worrisome problem. I think that again, together with all that has to do with the social networks and on all the radicalization that goes in them, this problem may become more complex. But there's a lot we can do, and again, I think that people, once they understand that only peace and dialogue are the right ways, they can go back to violence, because violence in the long term has a really big cost. And once you understand that, you just change your mind. So thank you, Marian. And Iva, I don't know in Croatia how you live these things. What's the situation right now in your country? I think that again your mic is against you. I don't know, Tunde, if you are there.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
We don't have violence. I can't say that there's violence in our city. It's quite a little peaceful town. Only the political parties fight each other, but verbally. So I wouldn't say that we are in danger or anything else. Also, regarding the Ukrainians, as you know, Ukraine is right next to us. So when the war started, we had a lot of immigrants. We still have, and we try to help them as best we can.
Okay. Well, it brings the complexity of having to live with many people who come from a different culture, different language, different mindset than oneself, and they are coming to your very own town. That may be sometimes difficult to process, but it's really enriching. And again, here in Argentina, we have a history of having millions and millions of immigrants, mainly from Europe, mainly from Italy, France, Spain, from Croatia as well, from Romania. And at first, at the beginning of the last century, people were a bit maybe suspicious or resentful. But then we learned that only by accepting the difference and by understanding that there's value on it, we could become better. And nowadays in Argentina, if you come here and you eat our food, you have some meals that come from Italy, some that come from France, and from every country in Europe, basically. And that makes us a much more rich country, a richer one than the one we could have been if there were no immigrants coming here. So since then, everyone is welcome, and I hope that the same happens in Romania. There's people there that are in a really difficult situation, so maybe welcoming them with wide open arms, that would be really nice. Now
That's exactly the situation, because they were expected with open arms. They got almost everything from the government, parliament, and from the people. Many humanitarian actions took part in that period, and they are still going on. They are integrated in our schools. They got homes, food, clothes, everything they need.
Great.
But most of them go further because we are Romania, so they don't really want to stay here.
Okay, well, that's great. I'm really happy that you have that fraternity with them. That's really important and a really nice way to live it. So amazing.
Yeah.
Then you, Eva, you were going to say something. There you are. We can't hear you. Well, let's hold on a minute to see if Eva can fix her microphone. But meanwhile, I'm really encouraged by all of your point of views, your histories, your ideas. And I think that it's amazing how each of you, each of us, tries to be committed to our societies, to make the difference, be it in a project like Sophia's with education, being like teaching English like Tunde, be it like walking his dog and leaving the street clean like Marianne. I think that each and every of us has a role to play, has a certain responsibility, and we should be up to the task that we have as this kind of ambassadors of human rights, of peace, of dignity. There's a lot of people out there that needs to be told all the importance of these principles, what they are, what they mean, and what they have as a consequence, and in a way build better societies where every one of us can find full development and can achieve every objective that we may have in our lives. And again, it doesn't matter our religion, our nationality, our ideas, our gender, our profession. We all have a potential because we are human beings, and by that we just have this inherent dignity and potential. So it's really important to have that in mind, to be conscious about that, and to build a better society with that base. So thank you all very much. It was amazing to have this conversation, and maybe we can just close with a few final words of each one of us. Maybe just sharing what we learned here, which concepts maybe just like have a different meaning for us, or what we have changed, what we took with certain hope or enthusiasm to bring to our daily lives. So again, if one of you wants to start and tell us a bit about what you got from this dialogue, that would be amazing. Maybe you, Tunde? Yeah.
Yeah, I am really sorry that we haven't known from the beginning. We thought that this meeting will take place next Saturday, so that's why me and my students were so active, because we already had other schedules. But hopefully we will find out sooner the next time for the meeting. Okay? It was a pleasure to talk with you and to hear different stories from different corners of the world.
Thank you, Tunde. It was a pleasure, and hope we meet again in these meetings, these instances. Now, you, Sophia, would you like to tell us what you think of all this?
I think the experience was great, because every one of us come from different contexts, different realities, but we like try to develop this kind of values, justice, equality, peace, and try to make the best that we can and what we have, like what we have in our hands, to make our communities better, and to provide this culture of peace. So I think it's beautiful to hear that everyone has their own like intentions to make their community better. So I think that if we try just to do the best that we can, we are making the impact that it's not necessarily like being changed in the governments or in the institutions, but it's affecting in the local community, and that's important. So I think that we have the same like intentions to make the world better, and that's great.
Amazing, Sophia. Thank you. Yeah, it's really important to get empowered by individuals, and to know that we all have a role to play, and politics is a way to impact in our countries, but not the only one. And by committing in projects from the social environment, the social agenda, there's a lot we can do. and also that here, coming from every country in the world and from different contexts and places, we can find a lot of common grounds and common experiences that can help us make our projects bigger and grow in our different cities and countries. For example, your project on education is really interesting, and I will write to you later to chat about it, and maybe we can share our experiences. We do a lot of education from the project I lead, so that would be amazing. So thank you a lot, and I share all the ideas you shared with us. Then Marianne, would you like to tell us a few thoughts that you were left with after all this dialogue?
Yes, I think it was very interesting, and I can't wait for another dialogue in a few weeks. And it was nice to hear different stories from different countries and how the situations are.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I found it really nice too to listen to others' stories and contexts and how the countries are doing and the situation over there. So thank you very much. And again, I hope that we meet again in a meeting or a dialogue like this. Thank you very much. And thank you all, guys. It was amazing to meet you again. It was really nice to talk and to get to know your projects, your ideas, your how you see the world, how you see your countries, your societies, and it's really encouraging to find people from all over the world that share the same principles and the same objectives. So that's great. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again anytime soon.
Bye.
Thank
Bye bye.
Bye.